Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Sammy. So today we're doing something a little different. Instead of just breaking down the good and the bad of PoE 2's patch 0.3, I want to rate the major content that Grinding Gear Games promoted in the Third Edict. This was a huge patch. New acts, new bosses, new systems, even a brand new trade system. And while some of it landed beautifully, other parts still need some work. Today, I'm going to walk through the biggest new content from the Third Edict, share how each of these features landed in practice, and give you my personal rating on them. Some hit the mark perfectly, others still need work, but together they show where PoE 2 is headed. Let's jump in. While GGG revealed Act 4, they promised a major new chapter with cinematic storytelling, unique bosses, and a true continuation of the campaign, not filler. And honestly, they delivered. The environments are gorgeous, the pacing feels sharp, and most importantly, it doesn't feel like we're grinding old content just to pad out hours. It feels like real progress. Community reaction has been overwhelmingly positive. Players praise the visuals, the encounters, and the sense that this is what PoE 2's campaign should feel like moving forward. My personal rating on Act 4, 10 out of 10. Act 4 was a breath of fresh air, and I only hope Acts 5 and 6 can match this mix of cinematic beauty and fun. Grinding Gear Games also added 3 new mini acts. These were billed as extra slices of story and pacing, bridging gaps between bigger chapters. Now, these aren't permanent. They're placeholders until Acts 5 and 6 arrive, but even as temporary content, they do their job. They kept the campaign flowing and prevent that feeling of, oh no, I've hit the wall of repetition again. Out with cruel mode. Players seem to like them for what they are. Quick bursts of content, interesting fights, and a break in pacing. My personal rating, 9 out of 10. They're not here forever, but they make the current game smoother and more enjoyable to play through. Boss fights are the soul of PoE 2, and GGG leaned into that with this patch. They promised challenging new bosses with unique mechanics and cinematic flair, and they absolutely added a ton of them. Act 4 alone introduced more than a dozen new bosses and over 100 new monster types. That's an injection of variety and flavor that keeps the campaign feeling fresh. Players widely agree. Boss design is one of PoE 2's strongest points. Fights feel distinct, they test your build in new ways, and the cinematic presentation is miles ahead of what we had before. My personal rating, 8 out of 10. PoE 2 continues to be revered for its boss design, and the Third Edict only strengthened that reputation. The first league mechanic for Path of Exile 2 had to land big, and GGG delivered Abyss. Abyss encounters spawn randomly, open cracks in the ground, and lead to chaotic fights and juicy rewards. Grinding Gear Games promise excitement and unpredictability, and that's exactly what we got. Players love it, it's engaging, it makes a campaign more fun, and it adds spice to endgame runs. My personal rating, 10 out of 10. The Rise of the Abyss was a huge win. PoE 2 desperately needed that first league to feel impactful, and it does. Now, this one deserves some spotlight. The Well of Souls. GGG marketed it as a new feature that ties into progression and crafting. Before patch 0.3, crafting in Path of Exile 2 was practically non-existent. Pure RNG, frustrating, and not rewarding. Nobody was engaging with it. But with the Well of Souls, crafting feels alive again. Players finally have deterministic tools, actual reasons to interact with crafting systems, and it's no longer just a dice roll that eats your currency. Community reaction was strongly positive. People who avoided crafting before are now looking forward to it. My rating, 9 out of 10. The Well of Souls has rejuvenated crafting, and that's a huge shift for Path of Exile 2. GGG introduced Sprint as a brand new movement feature, and while it had a rocky start, it's been a great addition. At launch, some players complained about the knockdown at the start of Sprint. That got hot fixed quickly. What's left is a simple, powerful tool. Sprint lets you skip through backtracking or more quickly to the next objective. Players love having the option. Movement is a core ARPG quality of life feature, and Sprint makes the game feel smoother. My rating, 10 out of 10. A straightforward win for pacing and player agency. The support gem system got a major overhaul. GGG promised more flexibility, more depth, and new ways to scale skills. One standout improvement, you can now use multiple copies of the same support gem on your character. On top of that, support gems come in tiers, so grinding actually feeds progression, not just gear. Community reaction is generally good, but with caveats. The recommended support system feels inaccurate, and some people feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of supports available. My rating, 7 out of 10. The system is a step forward, but it needs more fine-tuning to be truly intuitive. Crafting got one of the biggest upgrades in 0.3. Grinding Gear Games promised more control, more fun, and higher-tier tools, and they delivered. Greater and perfect versions of crafting currency give players more predictable results. Combined with the Well of Souls, crafting is no longer something to dread. It's something to enjoy. The community loves this shift. Crafting finally feels rewarding at all stages of the game. My rating, 11 out of 10. Seriously, this is the strongest change of the league. Crafting went from irrelevant to exciting, and it's a huge reason people are staying engaged. And then we hit the weak point, Endgame. Grinding Gear Games promised new maps and encounters in 0.3 to make Endgame deeper and more rewarding, but what we got feels like a treadmill. The Endless World system has no real progression anchors, no meaningful goals, and ends up feeling repetitive. Players across the board call this out as the weakest link. Doesn't feel like an endgame worth investing in, and that's dangerous for an ARPG. My rating, 5 out of 10. It's not a secret that Endgame is the biggest flaw of POE 2 right now. Luckily, we know patch 0.4 is meant to be the Endgame update, so hopefully Grinding Gear Games takes all this feedback to heart. And finally, trade. Grinding Gear Games promised modern trade years ago and always said it wouldn't happen, but never say never. In 0.3, they gave us Asynchronous Trade, and it's a complete game changer. No more AFK spam, no more clunky whispers. You can put items up for sale, log off, and wake up with a stash full of currency. Players are loving it, and honestly, this is the kind of feature that modernizes the whole game economy. My rating, 10 out of 10. It's smooth, it's fun, and it gives trade-focused players a real outlet. Absolute banger of an update. So that's my take on the Third Edict, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Now, I want to hear from you. What stood out the most in 0.3? Was it the new act, the league mechanic, the trade system, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's compare notes. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more POE 2 content, and join me live on Twitch. Channel name is SamyCaps, or right here on YouTube. Until next time, Exiles, stay safe, stay powerful, and keep grinding. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.